The greater diet war, and I was a frontline protagonist here. And again, I chose not, I was talking to my wife as I was working on a slide deck. I do a lot of public speaking, routinely show slides. Some of you have probably seen me do it. This is atypical. I said, you know, I just want to tell this tale. I don't want to do it. I don't want slides between us. I feel too much. So here's what happened. It's about processed meat. And this, let me be clear. This is why, my friends, you're gathered here because of a shared interest in optimal eating. We are more alike than different in those convictions, too. If we're a little bit different, let's link arms and sing Kumbaya anyway, because we have real enemies out in the world. And if we are fractious, they will exploit it. And we will all lose the bigger war. Only in our unity is there the strength to overcome, because there are massive forces arrayed against us. On September 23rd, it was a Monday, I had just come home from speaking in Slovenia on September 22nd. And I arrived home jet-lagged with a backlog of work and a nasty case of gastroenteritis. And an international flight is a really miserable place to have gastroenteritis. So the last thing I wanted, as I basically whimpered and whined my way through that Sunday afternoon, was to wake up, get to my computer Monday morning, September 23rd, 2019, and find this press release from the Annals of Internal Medicine, the American College of Physicians, new guidelines, no need to reduce red or processed meat for good health. Quote, end quote. This news come over the transom for you good people? There was a big blow up about processed meat. So this was issued under embargo. What the Annals of Internal Medicine, a prestigious top-tier medical journal, told us is this will be published in 1 week on September 30th. And we're alerting the experts because we're sending this out to the media. It was a press release. We want news stories about this provocative revelation. No need to reduce processed meat, bacon, pepperoni, etc., for good health. That was the line. Well, this reached me at the same time it reached a who's who in nutrition, and as you can well imagine, we immediately reached one another and said, WTF, did you get this? And we all started corresponding, and it turned out that all of us had gotten it and were wondering the same thing. So we immediately wrote to the press office at the Annals of Internal Medicine and said, send us these materials, because this is at odds with our life's work. Everything we've known up until this morning seems very odd that something that monumental slipped by us all. We're talking about really everybody, experts, chairs of departments and deans, and people who've been at this for decades all around the world. So we all got the papers. There were 5 systematic reviews plus these guidelines, and we had to read them all. And so, again, I was not happy about this. This was Monday. I still had gastroenteritis, getting better, still jet-lagged, had the backlog of work, and now I'm reading 5 systematic reviews. Anybody here read systematic reviews routinely? It's a dreadful affair. It's prone to make your eyeballs catch fire. I mean, you have to plow through the methods section. It's quite horrible, but we had to do it. Well, it turned out that the Annals was indeed planning to publish guidelines to the public, telling them that it's okay to eat all the processed meat they want now. And they justified publishing guidelines because they were theoretically based on all this new research. Here's the problem. All 5 of the systematic reviews showed statistically significant higher rates of death, heart disease, cancer, and diabetes, all the outcomes they looked at, with higher intake of red and processed meat. Statistically significant higher rates of death, heart disease, cancer, and diabetes with higher intake of red and processed meat. And so the press release, new guidelines, no need to reduce red or processed meat for good health. And so once again, we said, WTF. So we wrote to the editor-in-chief at the Annals of Internal Medicine, we think your press release is wrong. First of all, these studies aren't about good health. There was no mention of good health. It's not like, no matter how much red or processed meat you eat, you're going to live forever. These were studies looking at rates of heart disease, cancer, and diabetes and death from all cause, and finding it's higher with red and processed meat. There's no mention of good health in the mix. Your press release is just overtly wrong. And the Annals wrote back to us and said, well, okay, then we'll change our press release. And presumably they did, but they didn't send it out again. So a who's who in nutrition scrambled together, coordinated in particular by a 501c3 nonprofit organization I founded 5 years ago, and I definitely commend to the attention of you good people. It's called the True Health Initiative. If you're not familiar with the True Health Initiative, please visit truehealthinitiative.org. Please join us. Please sign up. No costs, free newsletter. But essentially, we have 500 world-leading experts, including almost everybody you've seen take the stage here, coming together to say, we agree. We agree about the fundamental components of a health-promoting diet and lifestyle, and we want to defend that out in the world because the world doesn't know we agree. And what may shock you is that agreement at the True Health Initiative runs the gamut, not just from the many experts in a plant-exclusive diet here, but the world's leading experts on the paleo diet, they agree too. They know that, Dorothy, we are not in the Stone Age anymore. In the Stone Age, we were isolated roving bands of hunter-gatherers in a great big empty world, and any animals we ate were wild. That's not breakfast in America. So the world-leading experts in the paleo diet completely agree with us that we all need to shift massively toward plants. They may or may not agree that we should go all the way to plant-exclusive, but they agree 90%. The world has no clue that's the case, but the True Health Initiative puts that out there. And so I encourage you to check us out and support us. But the True Health Initiative was the choreographer here, again, among a who's who in nutrition. So we wrote back to the Annals of Internal Medicine. And we said, we implore you to withhold publication of these papers. We have never and audit them. And that letter, by the way, is posted on the True Health Initiative site. It's signed by luminaries in nutrition, many institutions, and again, many of the people who've been on the stage here at the conference. We implore you to audit this before publication, because here's the thing. It's not just going to be bad after publication because it's telling people to do something that's not good for them. It's going to be bad after publication because if so settled a thing as the ill effects of processed meat are challenged, it will tell the world you cannot trust nutrition experts to know anything, and therefore tune them all out. Do whatever the hell you want. That is a calamity. That is the lid off Pandora's box. If we lose trust or cultivate disgust, we lose our power. The power in public health, my career in preventive medicine, the power resides in persuasion. You need to know that you can trust me. You need to know that I know what I'm talking about. The two most settled things in modern nutrition is that an excess of added sugar and processed meat are bad actors. I mean, we really can close the cases. This opened that case and said, no, not even this is settled. How did that even come about? Well, it came about because of the way the evidence was graded. I'll turn to that in just a minute. But essentially what these authors did was they graded their own evidence as weak using a tool designed for that very purpose. That was their intent, to show that their own findings were weak so that they could then recommend the opposite, which as best we can tell was a foregone conclusion because apparently all of this has ties to the beef industry. And that's been disclosed since in the Washington Post, the New York Times, and USA Today. I guess you're not surprised about that piece, right? That there are ties to the beef industry. This battle, however, goes on. This played out in September. So we honored the embargo. This all was embargoed until 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on September 30th. Now, I guess we were still in daylight time then, so it was Eastern Daylight Time. At 5:01 p.m. on that Monday afternoon, we unleashed a massive amount of rebuttal at the very minute the embargo lifted. That's really what the True Health Initiative did. All these independent experts would have said and done all the same things anyway, but with that choreography, there was a massive counter-narrative. Sadly, that was not the end of the story. Just a couple of weeks ago, JAMA, the Journal of the American Medical Association, published a commentary resurrecting this issue, quoting extensively the editor-in-chief of the Annals of Internal Medicine saying, well, okay, maybe our authors had conflicts, but everybody has conflicts. Walter Willett has conflicts, Frank Hugh has conflicts, that guy Katz has conflicts, they're all conflicted. And by the way, they did all sorts of bad things. They broke our embargo, they shared privileged materials, and it's all false. But for whatever reason, and we don't know why, and I shudder to think, another prestigious journal published that. Now what's happening now is all of us who were there are writing letters to say, these are the facts. You can't just publish hearsay in a main medical journal. But it's extremely alarming. And I think at the root of all this, so, and by the way, just to close this out, our primary argument was about ethics. I am a physician, took care of patients for 25 years. I did take the Hippocratic Oath. I'm trained and board certified in public health. In public health, we are taught the precautionary principle, even if you are not sure. The direction where you think the greater risk resides is the direction you lead people away from, not toward. You are duty-bound to prove there is no risk. You can't say, we think this pill increases the rate of cancer and suicide and probably doesn't do you any good, but we're going to recommend you take it anyway because we'll make money if you do. You can't say that. Maybe it doesn't raise the rate of cancer. Maybe it doesn't raise the rate of suicide. You're obligated to prove the lack of harm. And that's another oath I took. The prime directive of medical practice, primum non nocere, first do no harm. Sadly, we can't avoid doing harm in medical practice, no matter how hard you try. In trying to help, you sometimes hurt. But we are duty-bound to try. And the issue we raised to the Annals of Internal Medicine is you are publishing so-called guidelines at odds with the prior weight of evidence, at odds with the very evidence you're publishing in the same issue, and finally, and most critically, directing the public toward the greater apparent risk. Even if you want us to say we're not sure that it's the greater risk, and we disagree, we're sure. But even if we were willing to say we're not sure, it looks to be the greater risk. We are all duty-bound to say until it's proven safe, we advise you to go the other way. And by the way, last night on the panel, I was asked about the IARC report in 2015 declaring processed meat a class 1 carcinogen. We are sure. There's really no debate about that.